David had been married to Claire for 6 years. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but it had always been built on love, or so David thought. Recently, however, Claire had started acting differently. She seemed more demanding, more critical of everything David did, and often compared him to her friends' husbands. David brushed it off at first, hoping it was just a phase, but soon her behavior became impossible to ignore. One evening, Claire confronted David with what she called an ultimatum. She told him that if he truly loved her, he would quit his steady job and start a business she had dreamed of, even though it was risky and expensive. David calmly explained that their savings weren't enough, and that he wasn't prepared to gamble their future. He suggested they plan and save for it instead, but Claire scoffed and called him boring and cowardly. Her words stung, but David stayed patient. He reminded her that stability and security were important for both of them, especially since they had just paid off their mortgage. Claire, however, accused him of not supporting her dreams. Then she pushed harder, saying she would leave him if he didn't agree. David looked into her eyes and realized she wasn't bluffing. She really thought this childish ultimatum would scare him into giving in. For days, tension filled the house. Claire acted cold, slamming doors and making snide remarks whenever David refused to budge. She even told her friends that David was holding her back, and that she was considering leaving him. What she didn't realize was that every cruel word and dramatic act was slowly erasing the love David once had for her. Finally, one evening after yet another heated argument, Claire smugly said, "If you don't want to support me, maybe I should just pack my things and go." She expected David to panic and beg her to stay. Instead, David stood up, walked to the closet, and handed her a suitcase. "Then go," he said firmly. Claire froze, stunned. She hadn't expected this response at all. For the first time, she realized that her ultimatum had backfired. Instead of making David submit, she had pushed him away completely. But David wasn't angry, he was simply done. He had given her patience, love, and understanding, but she had chosen to gamble with their marriage. She tried to backtrack, claiming she didn't really mean it, that it was just a test, to see if he cared enough. David shook his head. "Marriage isn't a game, Claire. You don't test love by threatening it. You destroyed what we had the moment you made me choose between stability and your ego." Claire begged for another chance, crying and insisting she loved him. But David had already made up his mind. He realized that true love doesn't demand ultimatums or manipulate someone into sacrifices they don't believe in. He was tired of walking on eggshells, tired of being treated like a safety net rather than a partner. Within a week, Claire had moved out. She told mutual friends that David had thrown her away. But when they asked what happened, the truth came out. Her friends, who once believed she was the victim, admitted that she had gone too far. The silly ultimatum she thought would give her control had cost her everything. David, though heartbroken, felt a strange sense of relief. He finally had peace in his own home. For the first time in years, he slept soundly, no longer worried about constant arguments or unrealistic demands. Slowly, he began to rebuild his life, focusing on his career and reconnecting with family and old friends. Claire, on the other hand, realized too late what she had lost. She tried to contact David again, sending long messages of apology, but he never responded. He knew forgiveness was possible, but trust could not be rebuilt with someone who treated love as leverage. In the end, Claire's childish ultimatum had backfired in the worst way. She had gambled her marriage and lost, while David walked away stronger and wiser. He learned that sometimes love isn't enough when respect is gone, and that the greatest strength a person can have is knowing when to let go.